Yeah, I kneeled down and, well, wouldn't you know it, of course I stepped in a pricker bush, like a thorn. It's like the thorn vines going everywhere, and it went right above my boot. Right here, of course. Always. I'm just gonna have to hope that this is correct. So I've been shooting a lot more JPEGs lately, and I shoot RAW plus JPEG, but JPEGs actually have a lot of nice color on these cameras. And that's interesting because I was always like a raw, like ride or die, like just this is what it's gonna be. And sometimes I'd shoot redundant with JPEG, and that's cool, but it never really, had the spark. Until I started learning what, how to read a light meter properly, and that made a big difference. And one of the things I learned is just when you're looking at an evaluative metering scene, you're kind of like, okay, so here's it's doing this, here it's doing that. I'm gonna guess it's like this, and it works well. And I only use half stops on most of my cameras, so it's like you either get it or you don't. And to my surprise, I love the colors. I end up keeping the JPEG a lot, and the RAW, I also use different programs now. I am using Darktable because I moved over to Linux, and I don't really feel like going into 10,000 workarounds to get Photoshop running. Even then, I would have to, buy a new version because my old one is like from 2014. It's not reinstalling. At least I don't think so. So yeah, that is something definitely that I'm kind of getting used to. Darktable's way different, man. And I'm not exactly sure if that focus is right. I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for going forward, but I think more and more it's just leaning towards shoot RAW plus JPEG because I don't really need insane bursts. And a lot of the time, if you get it right with the JPEG, the RAW file is going to slap. But, RAWs, you have some more leeway. I don't know, this RAW plus JPEG thing is, I'd love to just go one way or the other, but at the same time, if I fuck it up, well then I can throw away the JPEG and save it using the RAW. But sometimes the JPEGs have that amazing color that I don't want to futz with and try and just copy it later. There's a lot of variables here, but I'm kind of moving towards, shooting both at once, and it's going pretty good. I really like some of these results from tweaking the in-camera profiles. I just wish we had a little bit better auto lighting optimizer, as Canon calls it, like settings, tweakability, for shadows and highlight balance and everything. A highlight-based metering system would also be good. I think Nikon has that, but yeah, I don't know. The Canon stuff's pretty plain, but it does work quite well. We'll see. If I'm serious about, just staying on DSLRs though, the options are a little bit grim. The only mirrorless bodies I'm interested in are the Sony ones, like the Sony a7S III, and not for video, but just because the sensor's perfect for photography, and the viewfinder is also massive, so I would just probably turn off exposure simulation sometimes, use that massive magnified viewfinder and high-res viewfinder as well, and just mount old Minolta lenses on it, or Pentax lenses. And honestly, I would also just love a Pentax DSLR because their lenses are great, and Pentax build quality is superb. And they're so rare to find over here. I'd also like to kind of just have a Pentax I could bring around, like rep the brand. I like this brand, I represent, I love the Pentax products. They're just not over here very often. I've held a couple, actually, was it only one? I've only seen a Pentax here like one time, and I've held it. Some guy had like a K1 or a K1 Mark II with like the 28-105 lens, and I held it, looked through the lens and everything, and man, that thing was great. It was cool. But yeah, you just don't see them, so I'm trying to get into that community whenever I can afford to. And just something, I'll start small and cheap, just, I don't know, maybe the weather sealed 18-55 or something. Good enough lens for me, man. And then work your way up. But it's a good intro to a new system that I'm curious about, especially with how durable, like everything says weather resistance on that system. That's for me, man. Pacific Northwest. Look at this weather. It could rain any moment. It's not going to, but maybe. Anyway, but yeah. So I've been kind of crisscrossing between what I like to do and how I like to use my cameras a lot lately, and It's just interesting, isn't it? We have so many options. Oh yeah, also I forgot the Japan trip is coming up in like just less than 2 weeks. So excited. Oh my god, did I mess up cleaning my lens? I see a bunch of like, aw man. I see a bunch of like swirly and like I didn't do it right stuff on there. Alright, I guess back home to clean.